much for joining us tonight, HMR and Facebook Live. I'm Coach Rick. I'm joined tonight by Coach Kate and Coach Jen, who are live from their kitchens. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Feels good to be back in the kitchen.
Of course. Well, appropriately, we are talking about Thanksgiving tonight. We're going to cover a lot of ground. And there are two things that we want to keep coming back to throughout the whole event this evening. We hope that you can stay with us. We're going to keep revisiting the question, why bother to stay on track with your either weight loss or weight management during Thanksgiving and over the Thanksgiving weekend? That's the first question. And then the second question we'll keep coming back to is in terms of recipes, strategies, or plans that you take on, what are you willing to commit to? So those are the things that we're going to be covering here, and we'll do a couple of rounds of those questions to start thinking about your answers to both of those. To start though, guys, can we just be candid about Thanksgiving for 1 minute? Is there any time of the year that is more focused on food and the challenges that all of us experience related to food? So I want to just right up front, two very quick questions for Kate, you and Jen, and then also for our audience. And we're going to really have this be a fast moving discussion tonight to our viewers. So have your fingers on your keyboards ready to type your answers. So here's the first of two quick questions to sort of put a stake in the ground right up front with this Thanksgiving conversation. Kate, Jen, and our audience, when you think of Thanksgiving and you think of all of the food challenges, if you were limited to one word or one phrase to describe the whole thing, what comes to mind? So to our audience, again, please post one word or one phrase that sort of describes the food, the challenges as it relates to the work that we do here in the program. So Kate, first thing.
I'll take it away. Calorie hyphen bomb. Capital B-O-M-B bomb. Number one day of the year.
Mhm.
I hear that. And there's more than one, right? Lots of calorie bombs throughout the day, really. Jen, what comes to mind for you? A word or a phrase that describes the food, the challenges, the whole thing.
First meal, second meal, because at my house we have 2 o'clock is the main meal, and then 3 or 4 hours later, then the second meal is rolled out. So first Thanksgiving meal, second Thanksgiving meal.
Absolutely. We're already getting some responses here, guys. So Tia, too much food. I mean, there is a bit of excess around Thanksgiving, isn't there, Tia? I think that's what you're alluding to. Denise, too much focus on food rather than on the thanks. I mean, Thanksgiving. That's a good point. Let's see. Eloise, bring in a little candor, guys. Her thought is yummy, unfortunately. At least she threw the parenthetical in there.
And I hope she still feels the same after she gets some of the recipes.
Yeah, right. Well, I think you will hear some yummy recipes tonight because our whole goal here is to help everyone come up with a plan to help you stay on track during this challenging weekend. Roseanne, tempting. Dana, guilt. That's a big part of this. And we're going to talk a lot about calories tonight, but we're also going to talk about the emotional aspects of this. So one word or phrase that sort of captures Thanksgiving, given the challenges that are inherent to this eating holiday, I think it's obvious we all need to have some sort of a plan as to how we're going to manage calories, or there really is no ceiling in terms of how high the calories can go. It's so easy to get out of control. And that really brings us to our second upfront question. And that relates more to how does it feel when that out of control thing happens? When things spiral out of control on a long weekend, think Monday after a long Thanksgiving weekend, maybe years past, where you really lose your focus. There can be any number of emotions that you experience. What emotion comes to mind on that sort of gloomy Monday after you feel like you've blown it? Jen, let me come back right to you. What's an emotion or a feeling when things just did not go as planned, if you even had a plan?
What did I do? Like, why? What did I do?
Why did I do it?
What am I doing? What did I do? Yeah.
Oh, Denise says wasn't worth it. That's always an interesting and a common experience, isn't it?
Mhm.
We always joke, guys, that how many people wake up Monday morning and say, after they pushed through and had a successful weekend, gee, I really regret staying in the box on Saturday night. I mean, no one ever says things like that.
No.
And then let me just add in here, and then Kate, I'd like to hear like what is the emotion that sort of captures it for you? Laurie says regret. Suzanne says depressing. Bob threw in high blood sugar. So whatever that means in terms of emotions, I imagine there's a lot of them. Another regret, disappointed. Jenny, failure. Tanya, guilt when I weigh in. All right. And Jennifer Maples has just joined us, guys, which is great. And Nancy chimes in. I hate that I now have to lose weight. Yeah, one of the things I said to my group this week was I'm sort of allergic to inefficiency. And the idea, the proposition of needing to lose weight that you just worked to lose in the previous week. How depressing is that? So Kate, what about you?
I mean, I feel like so many folks were just stealing the words out of my mouth. I would agree with Roseanne, disappointed. Jenny, feel like a failure. And, you know, Nancy made this great point a couple of weeks back. It's what I feel like I can gain at the snap of a finger. It could take weeks to lose. And then after my frustration, depression, I think I get into the calculation. And I might think, okay, I had at least 3,000 calories more than I had planned.
Yes.
So am I going to eat nothing for the next 3 days? Like, I think it's not even mathematically possible for me to offset the calories. So that even becomes more depressing.
Absolutely. So you've got the emotional heft of feeling like you've blown it, which is just so tough. So many different good descriptors that people have shared here, but that's a really important practical point, Kate, that you just made, which is the work that's required to offset the calories that were just so easy to have go higher than you ever could have imagined. So for all of these reasons, it's so important to have a plan. And we invite everyone who's watching to, if you've already started to think about what are you going to be up to on Thanksgiving Day, what about on Thanksgiving weekend? If you've already been thinking about it, you're already starting to cultivate a plan. We hope that tonight will help you to fine tune that plan. If you haven't really thought about it, and that would be the most normal thing. You know, it's so easy, guys, isn't it, to sort of rely on hope? Well, you know,
I'll just do my best.
I'll do my best. It just sounds so like, yeah, it's as much as I can do. I'm just going to do my best. But there's
It's
another.
not for another week.
Oh, that's another good one. Right. Yeah. I'll think about it in earnest the closer it gets. Well, the time to think about it is now. And that's why we're focusing on it here. All right. So just checking with you guys. Are you able to see the comments on your devices? Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, I know many folks are here with us, Marnie and Janice and Cindy. And Janice just mentioned how, you know, she's scared of ever going back to eating that way, like eating how, you know, average Americans do. And I haven't been out of the box for all my 100 pounds lost. So one, congratulations, Janice, on, you know, 100 pounds, but staying in the box. That's how, you know, you get there so quick with doing that. That's your one guarantee. And of course, some of you may be feeling really nervous going into this, especially if it is your first holiday with HMR in the box or even in phase 2.
Great. I just want a quick hello to Carolyn Carter, but then a second hello to another Carolyn, which is my Carolyn, who worked with me in our 2-state group. Great to have you here, Carolyn. Oh, we have a third Carolyn Markowitz. So excellent. Got some regulars joining us here, which is just great. Guys, staying on track on Thanksgiving and during the ensuing weekend is a tall order. So again, it's obvious, but we're going to just keep repeating this. You've got to have a plan. And if you're going to have a plan that in theory has you going counter to the norms, pushing yourself, if you will, let's face it, it really helps to have some strong reasons for why it's all worth it, all of this pushing. So I'd like to turn the conversation there. I'd like, if you guys could be thinking about this, and then also our viewers, I'd like you to just think for a minute. The proposition on the table is staying on track with your weight, whether you're in phase 1 with weight loss or phase 2 with weight management, staying on track over Thanksgiving. And again, that includes the weekend. What is a reason that you have to do that? It seems like an obvious question, but it's such an important question because, again, if you're going to be pushing yourself and tolerating things in the moment, you've got to be clear that it's all worth it. So what is your reason to stay on track, to have a plan, and to push yourself over the long weekend that essentially revolves around food? So let's just see if we have some answers here. Here's Susan. Hey, Susan, top regular here. So Susan has said, is this a response to a previous post, by which I mean it was easier to stay on track when I was just at home with my immediate family? Here it is. It's not my first Thanksgiving on HMR, but it's my first Thanksgiving after COVID. That's a difference.
Yep.
The difference.
People are getting together. And I know while folks are still putting in their reasons to stay on track, when you think about Thanksgiving, it's November, but then January 1st. And so once we get through Thanksgiving, we're going to turn around and have the challenges of December. And if you're not planning to stay on track or planning to really manage your calories or be in the box over Thanksgiving, then if you gain 2 to 5 pounds over Thanksgiving, I don't really think it'll be easy to lose it over the month of December. And then you could potentially be up even more. And I just really don't want to have to be heavier January 1st than I am right now. I don't want to be 10 pounds heavier because I know it could take months to get it off.
We have some really great whys in our feed.
Great point, Jen.
For my group was saying the exact same thing that you were just saying, Jen. It just takes too long to lose the extra weight. Mary said to protect my health and my weight loss. Janice said to prove to myself that my health matters more. And Jennifer, one of our regulars, of course, speaking so candidly, I recently learned I can't handle overeating anymore. I made myself physically sick. I now have this reminder to tell myself I'm not about that life anymore.
Yep. Eloise, it takes too long to lose the extra weight. Boy, isn't that the truth? And then our main man, Shane, is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Shane, I just don't know if I saw you last week. I don't know if you've been busy or maybe I just missed it. To protect my success so far. I gave you a like there. Yes, Shane, so much success. Really good. It's great to see you here in this space with us. Great reasons. Oh, Dara. So I'm not sluggish the next day. Isn't that true? That whole feeling that comes along with not just, quote unquote overeating, but really overindulging in like really high calorie foods. There's a difference, isn't there, guys? When you're full on foods that are in the box or other healthy, low calorie, more nutritious choices versus being full on stuff that's just really heavy, laden with fat. I feel like there's just a huge difference there.
Right. And Suzanne, her son's wedding is coming up and I have to be able to fit into my mother of the groom dress, not to mention the other beautiful clothes I was lucky to purchase after losing 50 pounds on HMR. I've got an investment in me now. Yeah, definitely. Such a great why.
Suzanne says that her son's wedding is coming up. I have to be able to fit into my mother of the groom dress. Not to mention the other beautiful clothes I was lucky to purchase after losing 50 pounds on HMR. Congratulations, Suzanne. I've got an investment in me now. I love that. Love that. Really, really good. HMR programs echoing your point, Jen. I thought that was a really good point that you made that, if things go off track on Thanksgiving, it's not as if December is like this month of opportunities. It's like turn everything around and get much more on track than you had been prior to the holidays. And
the opposite could also be like, if you do get through Thanksgiving with momentum and really go in with the plan and you get through it, you feel empowered that bring on the next challenge. I can do this versus the other way of, well, I've already blown it. I blew it on Thanksgiving. I might as well just blow it for the rest of the year. And we know where that could get us.
Yeah, Nancy always makes that point, doesn't she, guys, in our groups? I think to say like there's a sense of accomplishment that comes along with staying on track after whatever challenge, it so doesn't quite capture it. It's more powerful than that. It's more in the direction of like real momentum. When you push yourself through a challenge and you tolerate what you need to and you problem solve what you have to, and you emerge from that having really, stayed in the driver's seat of your own weight loss or weight management. It's more than just a feeling of accomplishment. It's this sense of, wow, there are doors that I can open that I've never even seen before. It's a very empowering thing. It goes so far beyond the calories.
Yes.
And I feel like Carolyn captured it so eloquently. It's a slippery slope. And for me, way too hard to climb back out again.
Yes.
And so what happens is when you really go off track, it's not like you're nailing the next day. It, for me, can be day after day after day to try to fight back.
Yeah.
So I think she really captured that well.
Yeah, Carolyn, that's clear thinking. I would expect nothing less from you. Really clear thinking. Guys, it makes me think of this week. Was it this week that we did failure syndrome in our groups? No, maybe it was last week.
Last week.
But failure syndrome is the opposite of clear thinking, right? It's in the moment. You come up with narratives in your head that make sense in the moment, why it's okay to give yourself a break. And then that becomes a pattern and it leads to old behaviors. But Carolyn, this is the opposite of that. This is just, I'm not doing that. I'm not going there. It's too hard. Again, great clear thinking.
Yeah, Suzanne has mentioned one of my very favorite quotes. And a group member in her class this week said, if I go outside and find I have a flat tire, I don't go get a knife and puncture the other 3 tires. So if I go out of the box, I should just fix the tire, not flatten the others. Yeah.
And Gina got 2 likes for echoing the same point that we just made that Nancy so often makes about Monday morning, waking up with the momentum and a feeling of accomplishment versus feeling defeat. What a difference. What a difference.
It
As Shane wrote, I don't want to feel like a stuffed turkey ever again. All right. Those are some good reasons, guys. I think I'll end on that one. Really good. I'm just curious for you. We'll do another round of this, but what comes to mind for you? I know you have plans to push yourself to really stay on track over the Thanksgiving weekend. What's the reason why? Jen.
Oh, me? Oh, so mine is what I mentioned earlier, is to not have to lose 10 pounds come January 1st. So making sure that I'm staying on track and not having to, kind of start from scratch, because it is harder come January, or it's just harder. So I want to stay where I am or even be losing, which
Jen,
I know seems impossible.
In an optimistic scenario for you, how long would it take? Things going well now. You're on a weight loss roll to lose 10 pounds.
6 months.
Wow. You're a small person. People don't know how small you are.
No, 4'11".
4'11".
4'11".
To lose 10 pounds. Yeah.
I would say maybe because it's,
Yeah. Now that's some math for you. Putting on 10 pounds over the holidays that takes 6 months to lose. Woo. Oh boy.
Maybe 3. My thing's not math, Rick. So if I'm thinking a half to a pound, then it could be probably.
Well, a half a pound a week would be 20 weeks. So you're looking at 5 months.
Yeah, I think you're in the ballpark there, Jen.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully, we took the time to ask all of you, what is a reason to stay on track? You may have sort of stepped back for a minute and asked yourself that, but it really is important to ask yourself that, because it requires a whole lot of work, as you know, a whole lot of planning, problem solving, tolerating, whatever word you want to say, to really stay in charge during Thanksgiving and then the weekend days that follow that. So it's all about the plan, and it's all about the strategies that you take on to employ. So let's now transition, guys, into talking about strategies that do help people stay on track. And I actually want to start, before we get into like recipes and whatnot, even though you guys are in your kitchens, sometimes one of the biggest challenges to staying on track is actually other people.
Yes.
And oftentimes even your own family. I think many people who are watching know of what we speak here. You all have probably had some experience with this, and there really are a range of potential reactions that you may have had when you're trying to stay on track with your weight, make some healthier choices, and other people have a raised eyebrow. So guys, let's have a little bit of fun with this, if we could, just for a minute. I'm going to just, let me just share my screen. If I can just get the control panel out of the way. Okay, so a range of reactions. So it could range from So you're saying, hey, I'm going to stay on track, and you're making healthy choices. It could be confusion on the left where someone just doesn't understand. And there's 1,000 versions of, so why exactly do you need to be in a box here on Thanksgiving or whatever other event you're at? Or going all the way across the gamut of emotions, guys. And I'm wondering, has anyone ever had this experience where you wanting to stay on track, it's crazy, actually irritates other people?
Yeah.
And here we have, I love this woman's face. You're
Right, I
going
know.
to eat my cookies? I
I'll tell you.
slaved over these cookies.
Or I love Nancy saying, I made this pie especially for you.
Yes.
That's for you.
Yeah, right.
You're not going to eat it?
Yeah, that's great. So let me stop sharing and let's ask if anyone has experienced some version of this where people were not supportive when in your attempts to or sharing that you wanted to be on track over the holiday or any other circumstance. Really could be just a weekend. What does it sound like when people are doing that? What are things that you've heard? Kate, what comes to mind for you?
You're still on that diet.
It's just, how long have you been doing this for?
It's been 15 plus years.
Yeah.
I was going to say 14. Yeah.
Like, is one day really going to kill you?
Oh, that's a great one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a sneaky one because maybe in the dark recesses of our mind, it's like, maybe they have a point, maybe not. I don't know. But I think going back to Carolyn's point about the slippery slope, one day could spell doom.
Yes, it could.
Jen, have you ever had experiences where people are less than 100% supportive as you're trying to really take charge of your health and weight?
Yeah, especially when they see you eating before, like you're having almost like a meal before the meal to front load so that you don't go. So why are you having that shake? We're about to eat. Why are you drinking your shake?
Yes. Yeah.
Or, turkey's healthy. You can't eat a little bit of that. Like you can't have turkey.
Yes. I'm used to it in my neighborhood. We have it's kind of a community neighborhood, a bunch of guys. I do fantasy football with them or everything, but it's just a collective eye roll about Rick and his shakes, Rick and his shakes. But as I've shared on previous Facebook Lives, it's eye roll Rick and his shakes until, at various points in the last few years, someone pulls me aside and says, hey, I wouldn't mind losing a little bit of weight. What advice do you have for me? And then Rick and his shakes it sounds like a different conversation. Hey,
yes.
Susan wrote, in terms of people not being supportive, someone demanded that I have a drink at my brother's wedding when I was on phase 1. Demanded. That is crazy.
Yeah.
And I love Marnie's, but it's a special day.
Yes. Yeah. Eloise, I've had that happen and it was so embarrassing. My friend made this especially for you. Yeah. I think of that woman who was so in the picture that we just showed. It was like, you're not going to eat my cookies. And then she adds on, I made them for you. Yeah, that's just terrible.
How dare you? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You've lost enough weight. Well, Carolyn says, why can't you just eat some of insert whatever foods is your kryptonite?
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. And then, welcome to the pattern that leads to people gaining weight back. Like, oh, okay, I'll just ease up here. And then once you start to ease up, it's just easier again. Carolyn just goes back to the slippery slope that you mentioned. Yep. All right, so here's the big question, and then we'll get into some recipes, guys. How have you enrolled your family, your friends, whomever, in supporting you? This is a really important question. This is called going out on the skinny branches for some people. Some people really don't want to advocate for themselves. It's just uncomfortable for whatever reason. No judgments from us on that, but there's a lot at stake here. And if you can do it in a way that works for you, you only get what you ask for. And asking for the help is really an important step if you're finding that people aren't being as supportive as they could be. So I'm just wondering for our viewers, what have you found has been effective in terms of eliciting support from people in your family or from your friendship circle? Give you a minute here to just see if anyone has any gold here.
Yeah, and Bob, who is a regular, he says it's not fun ending up in the hospital on Christmas Eve and Christmas because of bad eating choices.
Shane.
And yeah,
Well,
Shane is, yep.
the family now loves grilled vegetables, super supportive. Yeah. Uh, was it always that way, Shane? Did you sort of take the reins? Like, this is how it's going to be? Was there any enrollment involved around that? I'm just curious.
I
Same
know
for you.
whenever I've had Thanksgiving, the expectation is that there are going to be vegetables. And so it may be that because Shane was doing something different, that folks were kind of almost expecting that it was going to be a little bit different and maybe surprised that they liked it. So that's really been the case for me when I've had family members, friends try the vegetables that I prepare. They can't believe they like them.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I go with Crystal's approach personally, who said, my husband now cooks his own meals. I say, I will cook HMR and vegetables, and I'd love for you to join me.
It's great.
And if not, you can go in your own direction.
Great. It's probably one of those husbands grumbling about HMR. I'm cooking.
Lori says, I'm lucky to have a very supportive family. They're already looking forward to my crustless HMR pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
So she sounds like she's already let them know what she's going to be doing, which
Yes.
She's a planner, that one, Miss Lori.
Couple of things that we've heard successful and useful in the past around these types of conversations is for sometimes if you can take it, you sort of broaden it, if you just talk about it as a diet and just weight loss, there are times when people's brains go to a certain place. Oh, gee, you've tried to lose weight, many times before. What are you doing? You're making really healthy choices. HMR helps you to get on a roll with healthy lifestyle choices. And you don't want to mess with a roll when you're on it. So make it about the commitment that you're making right now to just being on a healthy roll. You're losing weight. That's a wonderful part of it, but it's so much more than that. When you think of the vastly improved nutrition that the Healthy Solutions Plan or the Decision-Free Plan, or what we work with people to do in phase 2, it's just night and day compared to what the average American eats. So you're just trying to really practice a healthier diet and a more active lifestyle. So that has been one thing that people have found helpful, as opposed to just diminishing it and saying, well, it's just about my weight loss and that's the only thing I'm doing here. Well, it's really about the lifestyle changes that you're trying to
Yeah, and one thing too that Rick, that I've mentioned to clients and have found for myself too is having the conversation sooner, maybe over the phone or one-on-one, so that they're not in the moment and they have this reaction, like those two people, like confused or hurt that you're not having something. So having that and just letting them know what to expect from you. So, hey, I'm going to be doing something different this year. I'm going to be bringing my vegetables, or I'm going to be doing this. So I know having those conversations early can help manage some of that reaction.
Yep.
I would add to that, guys, that even just conveying, like, I love what I eat. Like this pumpkin shake that I made, it is delicious. And of course, we'll share a lot of different recipes, but I convey that to my loved ones. I feel great and I love the foods that I'm eating. And they see that.
Yeah.
Carolyn, really bringing it tonight. I have had to literally spell it out to please put the things I don't want in my face somewhere else. Once I explain why, it's usually not an issue, usually. Yeah, explaining why, a little bit of context, it's great. I think the point here is advocate for yourself. And if you think about how uncomfortable and how difficult it is when people are not being supportive, that is what you're comparing against here. Yeah, the conversation may be uncomfortable for you. What's more uncomfortable? Being undermined by people in your family after all the work you're doing and all how hard you're working, or saying, you know what, I'm going to have this conversation, take my time, let them into my world a little bit. Hey, guys, let's move on to the next thing here. So we're gonna get into the different parts of the day, but there is a strategy before the big meal, the preloading strategy. So you were watching, I'm sure you know of what I speak. You present this to people the first time and it sounds like a crazy idea. Wait a minute, you want me to eat before the big meal or before I go to a restaurant? Why on earth would I do that? Guys, why is the preloading strategy, eating beforehand, why is that helpful? Kate, what comes to mind for you on that?
I mean, Jen was just painting a picture before when people might question it. Am I going to bet on Jen making the food choice that she wants when she's had the shake first? or skipping it and walking into the food environment. So it is a totally different situation. It's not a guarantee, but you are really stacking the odds in your favor when you show up full.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're actually giving yourself a chance, moving yourself up on the control continuum. You're feeling more in control because you're not sitting there struggling with if it's hunger, if you're really feeling, really hungry. Boy, I mean, what does that do to your resolve?
Right.
Jen,
It also seems to be like a visible reminder to me. Like when I drink it on the way there, I'm still thinking about it when I go into the event, and I'm more full.
Yeah. We're focusing mostly, guys, here on food. And we're really going to get into the recipes now, but we're just real quick on physical activity. That can be a preloading strategy as well in terms of in anticipation of the meal exercise in. Jen, what are your thoughts on that in terms of building in physical activity earlier in the day, if possible?
Well, it just has kind of you on the forefront of your mind. Like you're getting started off, you're almost staying in that routine. And we know that successful weight maintainers from the National Weight Control Registry, they're actually, keeping their routines in place. It doesn't matter if it's a weekday or a weekend or a holiday, they keep doing the same behavior. So physical activity, if that's something that you typically do, it's just going to help you to stay on track with choosing other healthy behaviors that are still kind of what you typically do.
Yep, absolutely.
I will say, guys, though, that these things before, whether it be like I'm committed to my 30-minute walk, I'm going to eat the entree before, they are easy to miss when you're really busy getting ready for an event. And so I literally have to add it to my calendar, set an alarm. Like I have to really go the extra mile because I could easily say I want to do it, but then get caught up in other things and miss it altogether.
Right. Absolutely. All right, guys. So we put out a poll earlier, and it was asking people which part of the meal is most challenging. So let's just very quickly review this. I don't think we need to belabor it, but I'm sure more people have filled in the poll since I took the screenshot, but leading the pack was the main meal. So we're certainly going to get to that. Desserts was next, and then appetizers last. And then it was kind of funny, guys, the drinks had nobody. And when I went to do the screenshot, I actually clicked drinks by mistake. So there was one person who had drinks, and it was me. So I unclicked it. That's not my big challenge. But anyway, so this is the way it laid out. So let's talk about apps for a minute. And, you could show 1,000 different kinds of apps, higher calorie apps. I'll just show, an example of one, and we could just talk about it for just a minute here. This is a pretty common one, cheese and crackers. Cheese, 100 calories or more per ounce, crackers, 125 calories per ounce, pretty calorie dense. But we also have the old double whammy effect. Jennifer, you know what I'm talking about. You used to finish my words when you were in my phase 1 group on Tuesdays. Not only are the calories higher, much, much, much higher on appetizers and foods like cheese and crackers than the in-the-box foods or other lower calorie foods. Once you start eating these foods, it's so hard to stop eating them. There's your double whammy. And all of the emotions, whether it's guilt, whether it's not feeling in control, that come along with, I said I was going to stop, and here I am, I'm still eating them. So again, it's a double whammy effect. Higher calories per ounce by a large margin in these appetizers, and then also very difficult to stop eating. So Jen and Kate, what comes to mind when you think about the typical apps that might be present on a Thanksgiving? What are some of the challenges there?
Well, you can just pop them. And it's just like when it's so quick to interfere with your weight loss because they are so quick to eat, and you can eat 1,000 calories before you even, have the main meal with like deviled eggs or, gosh, I'm thinking of the meatballs. I don't know why they're an appetizer, but those normally are the little sausages. Those things can add up very quickly. And then, when you're thinking of phase 1 and going off the diet, it's absolutely going to slow down your weight loss. Those little things can add up so quickly.
Oh my God. And in ways we've talked about this in the last couple of weeks, right, Jen? In ways that we're often unaware of.
Yeah.
Calories are hidden. We eat more than we think when there's more variety, when there's more food there. And then there's just the way that we kid ourselves. So you've made a strong argument here around it can slow down your weight loss and really put a wrinkle in that. Kate, what phase 2 and appetite?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of reminds me of the discussion around the Halloween bite-sized candies. Like for me, at no point does it ever actually feel like I've consumed a meal. Like Jen was saying, you're just having the bites here and there. Or Shane was mentioning that it's really hard, to not have those bites while you're cooking or you're socializing. But if you actually do the calculations, it can be hundreds, it can be thousands. And then back to my example before, you're way over your calorie budget. And guess what? We haven't had the meal, we haven't had the desserts, forget about the cocktails.
Yep.
So the apps alone can make it virtually impossible to manage weight if you're consuming like the ones that you had said before, Rick.
Absolutely. Right. So the question here for our audience, and we're going to review a few examples here, is what low-calorie strategies have you used? Can you use? Might you use? Let's get some boots on the ground, recipes and ideas that would support you in lieu of the traditional appetizers where the calories add up just so quickly. And just quickly share my screen here, Jen, and have you talk a little bit about this. Hold on a second.
Nancy just gave a good tip, chewing gum when cooking, as opposed to eating the appetizers that we had shared.
So the question to our audience, again, what low-calorie strategies have you used? We're talking pre-meal now, okay? Yeah. We're talking about the meal. We're talking appetizers beforehand. Jen, talk a little bit about the crudité strategy.
Yeah, and even though, this is probably a common appetizer as a vegetable tray, but something that you can get into calories very quickly are the dips, because normally those are higher in calories and you eat them a lot. So some different things that you can do is you can use your herbs and your low-calorie spices. And so fat-free sour cream, I don't know if y'all can see that.
Yep,
and
that's great.
Mixing it with, so I actually made a dip with 2 tablespoons of the sour cream, because one of my appetizers is 2 entrees. And I did a ranch seasoning and some chives. So freeze dried, I don't think you can see those very well, but this is a dip and super low calorie. Your fat-free sour cream is 20 calories for the two tablespoons that I put in. And some others that I know last week we were talking about cocktail sauces that could be great dips. And also, Hmr is very popular in my classes, and it's 0 calorie. I'm trying to get my light to.
What is it called again?
It's Hmr, sugar-free dipping sauce.
Yes.
So he has barbecue sauces. This is actually a sweet chili, and I put this with some fat-free sour cream, so a little bit of that, so you can kind of get more of a spicy. And we oftentimes forget that many of our entrees, so turkey chili, would make a fabulous bean dip. You could put it in the food processor. The pasta fagioli would make an excellent dip, again, made in the food processor. And I also was thinking along the kind of cheesy Mexican kind of flavor, the fiesta chicken would be absolutely delicious made, in the food processor as a dip. And you're also getting some good protein, and you can fill up. It's going to fill you up more than just some of those other dips.
So Coach Gina, who's on tonight, shared with me in a group one day that Cedar makes a fat-free, oil-free hummus. It's 25 calories per 2 tablespoons. I would show it to you all, but one of my family members finished it yesterday. But if you're ever in a pinch, I have not seen it in all supermarkets, but it is in many, and it is in the phase 1 box. And this is actually an app tip that I heard from my mom, Ann, who's watching, although Coach Annika does this a lot. And if you guys can see my bowl, it is squash bites.
Closer.
This is delicata squash.
Come in closer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
Up?
Let me see if
absolutely.
Let me see if I can pin you. There we go.
So how I make these is you have to cut the squash into small pieces. It takes a little bit of work. But then what I do is I spray my pan with a cooking spray, I line the squash pieces and then I spray them again. And then you can either do, if you happen to have, I have a Flavor God buttery cinnamon roll. And if you don't, you can just do like a cinnamon and a stevia. And I bake them for 45 minutes at 350. And they make these delicious, sweet snacks. And if you bake them a little longer, they're crispier, soft, they're incredible. And I love them as an appetizer.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what do you have? I'm going to remove your pin here, Kate, and let's see if I can get Jen big on the screen. There we go.
So I actually made some air fried mushroom risotto balls. And I really just took 2 of the mushroom risotto entrees and I hand rolled them and I did it in the air fryer. And so I just, kept them in there until they were basically staying solid. And then you can dip it in any of your low calorie dips. I'll put the lid back on it. But they're so delicious. And even if you don't like the mushroom risotto, this is not one of my very favorites, but I love it in the air fryer. So you have your own little appetizer and your mushroom risotto ball to enjoy.
Oh, I love it. It's great. Kate, can you counter with the recipe?
Absolutely. I can counter that. So these are stuffed peppers, and I'm going to pick one up to show you. Yellow, orange, and red peppers, and I stuffed them with Fiesta chicken. And these are actually delicious just to snack on in and of themselves. A great snack, great side, great app. And then what I did was I put the Fiesta chicken and the peppers and I baked them at 350 for 15 minutes. Super easy. Great thing to snack on before a meal.
Great. Really great. Couple of comments here. John, I eat plenty of veggies, fruit, use Walden's caramel dip, no calories. Suzanne, salsa makes a great dip too. Jen, let me come back to you.
And I think I can top. Kate. So I took the cheese and basil ravioli and I scraped the sauce off to have a marinara dipping sauce. I did do 2 because I wanted to have more. And so this is the marinara from 2 of the cheese and basil ravioli. And then I rinsed the rest of the sauce that was left on the ravioli, dried it off, and then put it in the air fryer and it becomes this delicious, crispy, just goodness. And you can dip it in the marinara sauce and it's just really good.
Really great. Love it. Tanya was saying big yes to the peppers. Kate, just so you know. Love the delicata squash. Got a few comments here. Really great.
We need suggestions from our audience too.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Well, I think when we get into the main meal, something, we've talking about appetizers, but a key strategy on Thanksgiving, so many people at HMR do this. They just take on, if they're in phase 2, just doing the triple on the day. The morning shake, right, Kate?
Absolutely.
Or the smoothie shake. It's just such a successful way to start the day. And that's one we shouldn't ignore. Let's come back to gallery view here. All right, guys, let's move on to, so we were talking about the high calories in typical appetizers. You guys just presented a few different, it's really the tip of the iceberg, a lot of different low calorie foods that you can eat before the meal. Let's talk about drinks for just a moment. Even though I was the sole one who had checked that momentarily as an issue, we don't have to belabor this, but it is important to cover. Why is it important to cover drinks that have calories, alcoholic or not? Kate, talk to us about phase 1 for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, in phase 1, the goal is to see rapid results and keep your calorie deficit as much as it can be. Keep your calorie intake as low as it can be. If you're having cocktails, you are slowing yourself down, and that's the last thing that you want.
That's right. And it's so hard to really appreciate like the calories adding up from drinks. It just doesn't seem like it's possible, but it is entirely possible. All right, Jen. Any comment about phase 2 and the hidden calories in drinks?
Well, I have to say, Kate, the calories do add up, and the portion size, for your glass. I know a typical recommended portion of wine is how many ounces? 6? Is it 6 ounces? 6 ounces. Yep. And I have to say, most people are not doing the recommended portion size of 6 ounces. And even if you do have the 6 ounces, your inhibitions go out the window. Like,
Yes.
so for your food choices, you may have been having all these plans, but you get a little alcohol in you, and whew, there's almost like this little devil on your shoulder. Just throw it out the window. You can do it. You can have whatever you want. And it's harder to stay on track with even a little bit of alcohol.
And just to reinforce that point, Jen, there's actually interesting and quite funny research on this. In one study, they called it the oops factor, where people consistently mismeasured what they were doing and their behaviors after having had a drink or two. And then just a more recent study, same thing, people making errors that, as always, our theme from the last month with calories, errors that in their judgment that occur beneath their level of awareness. So a quick to get to that point is to be having calories from alcohol, of course. All right, let's move on, guys. We're talking about different strategies to help you better manage calories in what may be the most difficult eating days or eating weekend of the entire year. Are you developing a plan? What will you commit to for Thanksgiving? I think we had asked the question earlier, what is your reason for wanting to stay on track? Guys, I don't think we need to sort of belabor that. If people have joined us since we first started this event tonight, we spent a good deal of time talking about the reasons to stay on track. You could maybe cursor back and look at what people wrote. A lot of good reasons to push yourself with whatever you come up with to stay on track with your weight over this long holiday. But now what I'd like to do, guys, is transition into the main meal. Okay. And that would include sides as well. So the question for the audience, and I'm going to ask you to put those fingers on the keyboards. What low-calorie recipes can you share that support you to stay on track that you could use on a Thanksgiving? Maybe you've done it in the past. Maybe you're planning to do it on this Thanksgiving. Low-calorie recipes that will support you on a challenging day like Thanksgiving. So as people are thinking about that, I'd like to just quickly share a quick story. We go to my brother Bill's house. Some of the people watching here may actually work with Coach Bill. Bill and I have both been with HMR for a long time, same amount of time. And we make a big deal. We're an HMR family. I mean, at one point, 4 of the 6 kids worked for HMR. So you can imagine what the dinner conversations are like. So we're big on the veggies on Thanksgiving. So for those of you in phase 2 or those of you in on Healthy Solutions, let me just show you what it's like at Bill's house. So here's the layout of the veggies. There's also, the protein, and there's another table as well. And here's another version of that. Look at these beautiful veggies, lots of different colors. We really assign who's going to bring the veggies. And it's just so many different options. It's so easy to get servings in at Bill's house. And his kids are pretty creative, guys. I shared this with you earlier. I won't belabor it, but they make fun signs each year. So, for example, they might have Scream beans with the classic Scream symbol there, or the Rest in Peas. I think we were watching scary movies at the time when they were doing that. And then there were the times when we were watching things like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead and other shows. And these were some of the, Game of Corn, and then The Squashing Dead. Jennifer, I know you're laughing at this. This is your sense of humor. I know you well enough. And then if you're Breaking Bad fans, Hyzen beans. So that was another year. And one of the common plans that Bill or I or many will do is before we get into anything else, we'll have a plate that's just vegetables, and it will look something like this. This is my plate. I took this, may have been last year or the year before. This is what the first plate looks like. It's all veggies before we get into anything else. So that's just a little bit of a foray into the main meal and the sides, loading, embracing the to-do approach. And here we just talked about really pushing on the veggies. But let's switch over to decision-free for a minute. We may have some people who are in the decision-free weight loss plan. Kate, what are some decision-free recipes that might help people to be full and satisfied on things?
Yeah, so this is one directly from our website. It's called Super Filling Stuffing. And I have to say, when I heard it at first, it didn't sound enticing to me. It didn't sound like it would go together, but it has a delicious mix of savory, sweet, risotto, chicken soup, HMR cereal mixed together. Put a little bit of water and any seasoning that you want. And it's directly on our website. Again, you bake it at 375 for 30 minutes and it is delicious.
Can you show it again a little closer?
Absolutely.
Fabulous. Looks really rich. Looks like it would,
So yummy.
yeah, that's great. What's another decision-free recipe?
Yeah, so this is also super easy. I mean, these literally took me a minute to make. So this is the mac and cheese baked. And so you can see it here again, just use pan cooking spray. And literally I just mixed the mac and cheese with the HMR chicken soup, a couple ounces of water. This is actually a double batch just because I wanted to have extra for leftovers. And decision-free, both of these recipes are decision-free and could be main meals or sides.
Wow, that's great. Really good. Jen, let's go over to some healthy solutions or phase 2.
Yeah, so one of the most common, out of the box food that people were going to miss that wanted a healthy solution or an in the box option was mashed potatoes. So I have made mashed potatoes that are in the box. And I actually love these little petite gold because they already have a potato, like a buttery flavor to them. And so I just boiled them like I normally would and then drained them. And since I did a whole bag, it makes more than 1 cup. I did 2 packs of our HMR chicken, or actually a pack and a half of the HMR chicken soup. And I just stirred in the powder and then added a little bit of water first or after that to get it the consistency. And then, so of course you're going to get more than 1 serving, but here is your side of mashed potatoes.
Wow, that adds a lot of savory flavor to the potatoes.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, it doesn't even taste like chicken. It's very creamy and really rich. And of course I seasoned with salt and pepper also.
And Jen, Shane does a mashed cauliflower, an alternative to your recipe.
Yeah, so here is the mashed potatoes.
Excellent, really good.
And then a main dish that's healthy solutions is our Thanksgiving in a dish. And so this is actually on our website and it's using the whole grain medley entree. And it has mixed vegetables. I think on the recipe, it called for peas and carrots. And I just had a mix of green beans, carrots, corn, and peas. So I had, I'd use 2 cups of that with 1 whole grain medley and then 1 HMR chicken soup, celery, a half a cup of celery, and a half a cup of onions. So then you kind of get that all together and then bake on 350 for 30 minutes. And there's your Thanksgiving, all the flavors of Thanksgiving in that dish. And then you also have the poultry seasoning. So I'm going to fill our plates here.
Excellent.
Completely healthy solutions in the box.
Low calories per ounce right there, but still has a lot of flavor. I'm going to transition over to Kate, and I'm just going to ask our viewers again, what are some low-calorie recipes that you've used that can support you? Great, Jen. Looks so good. Really good. Awesome.
So, Jen, yours would be a great, stuffing alternative. And a lot of folks in our poll earlier this week mentioned green bean casserole and wanting ideas. And this is a simple recipe from our site. Beef stroganoff with green beans, soup, microwave. Couldn't be easier to make. I'm afraid I'm gonna spill it. Super, super easy, delicious green bean casserole.
It's really great. A lot of different recipes, guys. So hopefully we're sparking some creativity on the part of everyone who's watching. The point that we've been hitting here, this is obviously a very challenging holiday. A lot of good reasons to push through, to have a plan, to stay on track. We're giving you different ideas, but ultimately you want to be looking at what's going to work for you. I'm going to just share a couple other quick pictures here, just to make the point that if you're looking for more recipes, you go to hmrprogram.com. Here we have the twice baked pot pie potatoes, but there's so many more recipes that you can take advantage of there. And then, of course, in our HMR diet community, there's so many different additional recipes. And what I like here with Jasmine, who was one of our guests before on Facebook Live, she's just so into it. Crustless chicken pot pie and turned shepherd's pie, amazing. So you've got to really look at what's going to work for you in terms of helping you to stay on track, to stay full, to stay satisfied. So you're not facing what we had talked about on that Monday, all of those negative emotions of feeling like, my God, I need to regroup and recommit. And it just feels like climbing Mount Everest all over again. We're really trying to help people avoid that. All right.
I love Susan's maple glazed carrots real quick with sugar-free maple syrup. Delicious. Wouldn't have thought to do that. Great suggestion, Susan.
Wonderful. We're going to transition to the last category here. We've talked appetizers and drinks. We've talked the main meal and sides. Let's talk about desserts for just a moment. Going the wrong way. Here we go. Here we are. Desserts. It's unfortunate, but we've got the double whammy effect here, right, guys? It's the calories per ounce. We're up against that, but then we're up against the fact that when you start eating these foods, it's just so hard to stop eating them. Real quick, we stumbled upon an example, a crazy example from Reese's, right, Kate and Jen? We have to share this with our audience. It just shows you that the food manufacturers are out there just trying to create new ways to get all of us to eat more calories. Have our viewers, have you seen this? The new Hershey's Reese's pie. Only 3,000 of them were made. And here are some of the details on it. It weighs 3.4 pounds. It's 9 inches in diameter, sort of like a regular pie. It's 145 calories per ounce. Do you guys remember? I think we estimated the total calories on this thing. I think it was close to 8,000.
It was like 7,650. And are you going to mention this? How many servings they want you to do?
Oh, that's the key here. So our viewing audience, you can all rest easy here. The 9-inch Reese's pie is not going to be a problem for anybody.
Nope.
Because inconsistent with the photo you're looking at, Jen, how many portions do they say the 9-inch Reese's pie gives you?
Reese's recommendation is that you cut it in 48 servings.
48 pieces.
I mean, it would be like a little mini cup.
I mean, is there any reaction from anyone in the audience that pie, the 9-inch pie, they're saying, oh yeah, okay, it's 145 an ounce, it's almost 8,000 calories, but that's not a problem. There's 48 servings here.
I'm going to savor this over the next 1 to 2 months, just to savor a day.
Absolutely. I mean, you can feed the neighborhood with that 9-inch pie. There's 48 servings in it. Oh, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's almost intentionally deceptive. All right. What low-calorie dessert ideas do you have? I want to ask our audience. Could be your favorite shake recipe. It could be a multigrain cereal recipe. It could be something with fruit. It could be something beyond that that's still low calorie. Kate, what do you like?
Yeah, I mean, I just love pumpkin everything. You guys can probably see I've been enjoying a pumpkin shake. I have a bunch of great pumpkin skinny syrups. This is pumpkin cheesecake. And what I did with this is 70 plus vanilla canned pumpkin. And I just like to warm my pumpkin pudding and put it in a yummy dish. So you can warm, I did half a can. And then what I like to do is microwave the water with the 70 plus vanilla. You have to watch it. I just do about 30 seconds. If you do it too much, it's not good. And then I do like to top it with some fat-free whipped topping. It's so delicious. Try warming a 70 plus if you haven't done it. I also do chocolate with PB2.
Mm-hmm.
Jen, what do you got for dessert?
Yeah, so I know a common miss for Thanksgiving dish was pecan pie. And so I made it my mission to get an in-the-box pecan pie for all of our HMR folks. And it was actually inspired by a Phase 1 client of mine that provided a shake recipe with maple bourbon pecan sugar-free syrup. And so what I did is I took one of our multigrain hot cereals and I did 1 tablespoon of sugar-free butterscotch pudding. And I just added a teeny bit of water to make it more of like a crumble. And then I baked it in the oven on 350 for about 10 minutes. And while that was baking, I made a double 70 plus. So I put 2 of the tablespoons of the sugar-free syrup in there. And once it was done baking, I went ahead and put the 70 plus on top and then froze it. And it actually has turned into like a pecan pie bar, like a gooey bar. It is so good. My youngest was ready to eat the crust when it came out of the oven, but so good. And all these recipes will be in one document in the comments of this video. So you don't have to keep, looking. I'll put all the recipes right in the comments.
Wow. Jen, 3 or 4 times there, you look like you were going to take a bite, and I found myself leaning into the camera each time that you did that.
Well, I didn't take it out soon enough, and so it was stuck.
That's
so,
great
but it's
recipe.
so good.
I love it.
So good.
I'll throw a couple other quickies at people. Let me just come back to sharing my screen. Back to by the way, guys, our Reese's example got a lot of really funny comments from people. Just questioning, how is that even legal to
I know.
So this is from Mary, who posts a lot at the HMR Apple Crisp. It looks so incredible. 1 apple, a tablespoon of butterscotch, sugar-free, fat-free pudding, 1 HMR cereal packet, 1 tablespoon of sugar-free salted caramel syrup, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 3 tablespoons of water can be used as a substitute, 2 teaspoons of imitation butter flavor, cinnamon, water, and then she's got the directions. It's just awesome. It just is another way on top of the ones you guys just showed that you create delicious, satisfying desserts that are low calorie, even in the box, and enjoy those and save so many calories. I'll just show one more here. This is one of the ones I like. I will freeze my bananas in slices. I'll let them thaw a little bit, and then I like to put hot 70 plus pudding over them and then sprinkle PB2 powder on it. And that's just another one of my favorites there. So many different ideas. Kate, in our meeting preparing for this, you were rattling off so many different dessert recipes, fruit salad. You're a big ice cream fan, of course.
Yeah, anything in the food processor is so delicious.
Yep. And then even a hot cocoa really can satisfy sometimes like other things can't. So those are some additional good ideas.
Thai tea shake, so yummy.
Yeah. All right. So we've covered pretty quick. We told those of you watching, we're going to throw a lot at you. We hope that this has sparked some creativity on your part, giving you some ideas. There's one last thing that we wanted to talk about. We alluded to it already in terms of a pre-strategy, which was sort of earning the day with physical activity. I do want to come back to that just because we spent most of our time talking about food and managing the calories with these low-calorie recipes and strategies. Let's talk about physical activity for just a moment. Kate, I'm just going to share one more time my screen and have you talk about what is this picture, what are you guys doing, and why is physical activity important to you on Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, my mom and I have done a turkey trot before. We will be doing one next Thursday morning. It sets such a wonderful tone for the day. You're out there in the community. And I've just noticed for myself, one would think if I skipped my physical activity, of course I would make better food choices. The total opposite happens. You get into physical activity, you feel great, you want to make good food choices. Wonderful thing that I can share with a loved one.
Absolutely. We've said this a couple of times, but there are the calories of it, but then there's what it does in terms of reinforcing your intentions around your food. You can't say enough about that. Jen, you already talked about this a bit. Is anything else you would say about the importance of the physical activity, whether it's in the morning or some other time in the day on Thanksgiving?
It just keeps you in that healthy routine, and also just keeps your goals and what you're wanting to accomplish at the forefront of your mind. And if you're able to get away in a busy day to tolerate, doing it earlier in the morning or doing it in the day, during the day, you're going to be able to tolerate some other hard things on the day too. So it's just another level of problem solving and, putting yourself first.
Great. Awesome. Good note to end it on. We appreciate so much. We say this every week, but we really do mean it. For those of you who take time out of your precious schedules to be with us, we wouldn't be the same without you. So thank you for being here. Thanks so much for all the comments that you've added. Jen, did you want to say something about the In the Box challenge? on
I
this?
did. So on Thanksgiving Day, we are going to throw out an in the box challenge, and we are going to be posting more of the details in our Facebook closed community group. So if you want to commit to being in the box on Thanksgiving, you're going to get all kinds of support in the community. Of course, we have the recipes, but you can use hashtag in the box Thanksgiving, and just look in there for details. That'll be coming up here soon, probably within the start of next week. We'll put the details in there.
That's right. Great. Thank you, Jen. Kate, thanks for letting us into your kitchen. Jen, same thing. Your kitchens are beautiful, and you guys did a great job. And people are already thanking you. Big thank you with exclamation points in the comments. Appreciate that, guys. Everyone, have a great week. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great holiday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, all.